Hello everyone, we're going to continue with the lessons about constructing Arabic sentences. In the previous lesson we learned how to say the thing is whatever, right? And in this lesson we're going to extend this one more step and try to say and learn how to say the and add an adjective, for example, big, okay, circle is, and whatever. Okay, so to do that, first let's learn how to say the big circle. Okay, we know how to say the circle is blah blah blah, how to say the big circle is. So the first part, we're going to learn how to say the big circle. Okay, so let's start by translating each word. So circle in Arabic is دائرة. دائرة. Big in Arabic is, well, depends, because in Arabic adjectives have to be reformed or you have to select the adjective that represents the word. So da'ira is a word that is singular, and that is feminine. So you have to choose the right adjective for that has to be singular and feminine too. So for da'ira, it has to be kabiratun. Okay, kabiratun. Da'iratun kabiratun. Now, the sentence says the big circle, right? So we have to add al somewhere. Well, in this case, you have to add the al for both. You have to say الدائرة الكبيرة. الدائرة الكبيرة. Well, this is because in Arabic the adjective, just let me put down علامة التشكيل الكبيرة. The adjective in Arabic always follows the word that's describing in everything. So if you put al for the first word, you have to put al for the adjective. If the word is masculine or feminine, the adjective has to follow that. If the word represents one person or one object or two, or like in the dual form, or was it in the plural, the same thing will be applied to the adjective. It will have to follow it fully. So basically, if we add الدائرة, we have to say الكبيرة. Okay, what if we're saying just a big circle? A big circle. In that case, you would just say دائرة كبيرة. Okay, you didn't add al here, you don't add al for the adjective. So the adjective follows the word exactly. The other thing that you should notice, and by now, is that in English you put the adjective in front of the word. In Arabic you put it behind. So you have to inverse the logic, the way the logic of your thinking. Whenever you want to describe something, don't say the adjective first, but say the word first. So basically, if you're trying to describe a car that is black, for example, you would say in Arabic the word for the car, and then you would say the word for black. And not the other way around, like in English. And this is always. So always in Arabic, the adjective follows the word, follows it in everything, plus it's always like a stalker. It's always sorry, it's always coming from behind. Anyway, so moving on, let's have more examples. So these kind of sentences where you have an adjective for a thing are helpful, for example, when you are shopping, right? And you want to point out which of the similar items are you which of them do you want to buy, for example. All right, so you have all these cool looking cubes, and I'm taking cube just because we mentioned it last lesson. So the salesman asks you which one you want, so you have to say which one, right? So let's say you want the green one, so I would say the green cube, right? So how do you translate that in Arabic? Well, first you have, let's take the translation for each one. Well, we know from previous lesson, cube is muka'abun, and green is akhdarun. So to translate that, what's missing is just the, okay? We said we inverse the logic of the sentence. So basically, if you write this from left to right and then write this from right to left, you actually get the right sentence, almost. We just have to add the. So it would be al-muka'abu, al-muka'abu, al-akhdaru, al-muka'abu al-akhdaru. Okay, al-muka'abu al-akhdaru. Now, this should be fairly simple. What if I want to say a green cube? Just a green cube, right? Basically, that sentence is just this one. مكعب أخضر. مكعب أخضر. So basically, for these sentences, if you just write them and write the translation just below them, you basically have the right translation, okay? So let's take one more example. Okay. Okay. So just like we had in the previous lesson, we mentioned the pretty girl, right? So let's say there are so many pretty girls. I think we're back into the 60s with this hairstyle. Anyway, okay. So how do you say the pretty girls, right? The pretty girls. So how do you say that in Arabic? First, let's translate each of these words. Right. And the first step, the word for girl. Well, this is not girl, this is girls, which would be fatayatun. 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 And pretty is, well, we know pretty could be jamil, jamila, but we're describing girls. So since we said fatayatun, the adjective has to follow it. It has to be jamilatun. Jamilatun. Fatayatun jamilatun. But we're missing one thing, is the. So we have to adjust this one, and it will become finally al-fatayatu. Al-jamilatu. Al-fatayatu al-jamilatu. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. So let's, enough with examples for the first part. Our primary goal was to learn how to say the big, oops, it's an SCB. The big circle is something, right? So let's take an example just like last time. Last time we said the cube is cute, right? We said like the cube is cute. So how do you say the black cube is cute? Okay, so for that, let's divide the sentence into what we know. The first part of this lesson and the next part from last lesson. For the first part, we know for a cube it's مكعب, مكعب, and for black it's أسود. Okay, and what's the word for cute? We said ظريف, ظريف or ظريف. Okay, now what is the complete sentence? Well, the first part is this part, so we write it first. It is المكعب الأسود. المكعب الأسود ظريف. المكعب الأسود ظريف. المكعب الأسود ظريف. Okay, so this is the first part, and then we added the second part. المكعب الأسود ظريف. One more example. Also, in our previous lesson, we said the girl is pretty, right? So let's say the blonde, I hope I spelled it right. Okay, the blonde girl is pretty. Okay, how do you say that in Arabic? Well, let's take it apart first. This is the first part. This is the second part. Translate the first one. What is the word for girl in Arabic? Just one girl. That would be فتاة. فتاة. What is the word for blonde in Arabic? Well, this is a new word, I think. This is the first time I mention it. It's شقراء. شقراء. This is for a single girl. Okay, we say شقراء. And what's the word for pretty? It's just one girl, would be جميلة. جميلة. Okay, جميلة. Now, let's put everything together. The first part would be الفتاة الشقراء right? This is the first part. What about the second part? The second part would be just جميلة. جميلة. So the first sentence, or the first part of the sentence, describes a girl or picks out the object with an associate or with the proper adjective, or with the adjective that describes that object or differentiate that object from the surroundings, right? So maybe there's a lot of girls, so which one are you choosing? You say first the blonde girl. So that kind of sentences where you add an adjective to a word to describe it, to differentiate it from the others, you would just first put the word and then the adjective, and the adjective has to follow the word in everything, meaning that if it has al, it has al. If the word is feminine, it would be feminine. If it's masculine, it would be masculine. If the word is for a single or a dual or more than that, then that adjective also will be for a single or dual or more. Now, then we would come with a piece of news, and that is the word that is after the verb to be, right? Is pretty, right? For example, and that word, if you notice, does not follow the other words, meaning the first words had L, this one does not have L. So basically why I'm saying this is that, let's say we have these two sentences, okay? The big circle, or the other sentence, which is the circle is big. Now I want you to notice the translation of both of them. I'm gonna just write it here. الدائرة الكبيرة, and the other one is the circle is big, and that would be الدائرة كبيرة. الدائرة كبيرة. Okay, so let's look at the differences of these two sentences. First, if you want to say the big circle, then in this case big becomes the adjective of the circle, and you will have to follow the rules in Arabic that the adjective has to follow the word that is describing in everything. So basically we started with L, then the adjective has to have L, right? It ends with Dhamma, the adjective has to end with Dhamma, or the equivalent of Dhamma in Arabic. The word is singular feminine, the adjective is also singular feminine. For the other case, if you want to say the thing is big, the circle is big, then you would say, you would first start with a word with L, and the second word does not have L, okay? So notice here, both words have L. Here, just the first word has L, the second one doesn't have L and has tanween. Okay, so if I say الدائرة كبيرة, الدائرة كبيرة, what would that translate to? It would translate to the circle is big. The circle is big. But if I say الدائرة الكبيرة, الدائرة الكبيرة, then that means the big circle, the big circle. I hope you notice the difference, because just translating from English to Arabic might be easy, but when you're listening to it, you have to know which sentence, what am I saying? Am I saying the big circle, or am I saying the circle is big? So am I saying الدائرة كبيرة or الدائرة الكبيرة? الدائرة الكبيرة or الدائرة كبيرة. So if you reach that level where you can distinguish between these two sentences, then you could understand a lot. Okay, so, and the lesson here, we actually combined both sentences, and we said, for our last example for this lesson would be the big circle is awesome. How do you say the big circle is awesome in Arabic? Well, one translation could be, first, what is the word for circle? I said this a few times. I hope you have memorized that by now. Okay. And what's the word for awesome? Well, one word could be mudhila. Of course, also this follows, because this is a piece of news for da'ira, so it has to follow it in the gender and the quantity. So basically, what would be the final translation? It would be الدائرة الكبيرة مذهلة. الدائرة الكبيرة مذهلة. الدائرة الكبيرة مذهلة. And with this final awesome big circle, we end our lesson. Final note, please, if you have any questions, you might want to add it to or post it on our Facebook page. So it's Facebook/Homeland